Hello, hello, hello. All right, it is time for another episode of Grace Through Pain, A Journey to Hope. I am really looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have with someone I've known for a very long time. We actually are from the same town, Hillary. She has had MS for quite some time. She's definitely considered an OG in this world. But in addition to talking to her about just her experience living with MS for as long as she has, she is a mom. She's a new mom. And I really want to ask her a lot of questions just about her journey to becoming pregnant, to life after baby, just all of the things, because I have really struggled with my fertility and with getting pregnant. And there's just been a lot of roadblocks in that kind of space. And so I will absolutely talk about my personal experience regarding fertility and MS in the coming episodes, but I'm just not really ready just yet. So I thought this could be a good way to kind of ease into that dialogue and start with Hillary, who's going to leave us with, I know, a lot of hope. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on in. All right, one sec. Hillary!
Hi.
Hi, you're here.
Yes, I am.
So excited. I was just saying before I brought you in that we go way back.
Yeah, we do. I just saw a picture of you recently at my mom's house.
Oh
When
my
you came to my house and set to take me off to prom with all the girls, and
girl,
you and Haley were sitting by my bed.
I
So I was like, oh,
can't.
yes, with your
Applause.
platinum blonde streaks in your hair.
I love it. So
Yeah.
I was like, uh this is, and it's very fitting that you would be one of the OGs in my life and now an OG in this MS community space. I mean, you really are. And so I was thinking about it and I was like, this is going to be a really good conversation because we've got a lot to kind of
Yeah, we
dive
do.
into.
Yeah.
Have you talked to anyone? Have you done any interviews or anything yet about, your life, your diagnosis, anything? Is this like our first time doing this?
I haven't. I haven't done any support groups, talk, any interviews, anything like that. I tried to be kind of private about it, which I was for a while, but I'm finally in a space where I'm comfortable enough to talk about it and reflect on my journey and whatnot. So I'm here and ready.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, all
Yeah.
right. So I always ask, I haven't had a ton of guests, but the guests that I have that have MS, I always want to just start off with their diagnosis. And because we've all had such different experiences, some folks that have been sick for decades, others it felt like overnight. And so I think it's really important for people to know and feel validated that their diagnosis journey and story is unique, and it's okay to be different, and for folks that don't have MS to not have an assumption of
Yeah.
what that might be. So let's start there. Talk to us about when life.
My story. Well, and I'm dates might be a little messed up, but it was right when I graduated from college. I just got my brand new job at the Weather Channel, and I was so excited. I had to try to work Weather Channel. Yeah, yeah. And I all of a sudden had to wake up early, and I used to be a party girl. Like I partied in the ATL streets every night and every day.
Mhm.
So I was doing the thing, honey. But all of a sudden, one day, I started to wake up really, really late in the day. I didn't understand why. Like I couldn't wake up. I just was so tired. I was extremely tired, like a tired I never felt before. I thought it was just due to my partying, so I brushed it off. Well, um, it was around the time that I got my brand new apartment. This apartment I loved. I was moving in with John John.
Okay.
And he and I were going to IKEA to get furniture. And I walked into the IKEA furniture store and I leaned up against something and I fell, like to the ground. And John scrambled up, you know him, oh, what's wrong? So he scrambled to get me up. And I'm just thinking, geez, am I still drunk from yesterday? What happened? Because I was drinking a lot. From, I was like, I thought again it was my partying. I thought it was me. So again, I brushed it off. Then fast forward another couple days. It happened within a week. So fast forward another couple days, and I was walking my dog Lady, and we were living on the fourth floor of a condo apartment complex. And I let Lady down the stairs, the concrete stairs, to go do her business and come back up. And she didn't come down. She didn't come back up. So I went down the stairs, and I fell down. I think one flight of concrete stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm hollering and screaming bloody murder. And John's like, he comes out of our apartment like, what's going on? What happened? And I'm like, standing, my knee is bloody at this point. And I'm just like, something's wrong. I'm so tired. I fell. I don't know what's going on. So at this point, Lady's coming up, looking at me and stuff, but I can't move. So John was like, no, you go to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and they did tests, CAT scans, all that stuff. And they were like, there's nothing wrong with you, but your bumps and bruises, obviously, and you may want to go get an MRI.
Okay.
Now, don't tell me back then you may want to do anything, because I'm not going to do it. So I didn't do it. Now, then the next week, like that was like Friday or something, the next week actually was when I was starting work. So our first day.
So the time from then to when you were starting work, did the symptoms just kind of go away? Did you feel like you were fine and that was just a blip, or were you still feeling?
Now, see, what happened was I thought I was partying every day. I thought it was just me partying. I was tired. I needed more sleep. It
Okay.
wasn't anything concrete that I should be like, something's wrong. I need to deal with this. And I always been the type of person to think that perhaps I did something wrong. I need to stop something, change something, what I'm doing, and then it'll change. So I didn't really pay much mind. The next week was when I was going to start work. So on Monday, I got up, and my face had actually drooped on the left side. Like, you remember that old black and white movie where the girl was pushing the guy's face down and it was just sticking? My whole face was just like
Yeah.
flat jawed, everything. And my vision was kind of going in and out. And I was like, oh hell, nothing's wrong. I thought I had a stroke. And I again attributed it to my drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm doing this, so I gotta get it fixed. So I then went to the CVS,
Okay.
got some baby aspirin, took that, and I'm like, okay, I saw online, I read, I didn't see online. I mean, Jenna told me to get some baby aspirin. Got that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to the hospital. Took the aspirin, went to the hospital, and like, hi, you again. I'm like, yeah, I had a stroke. And I was so, matter of fact, so serious, like, look, I had a stroke, I gotta go to work double days, gotta get this done, it's
Right.
over, I didn't have a stroke,
How do
sucks,
we
whatever.
move on from this? Right.
I was very, very, go, like, this happened, whatever, say, let's get it on. They're like, yeah, we think it could be something else. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I got to work tomorrow, so we got to go. And so at that point, they were like, ma'am, we don't think it's a stroke. We're glad you took the aspirin, but we don't think it's a stroke. We think you should go to have an MRI done. So I was like, okay, fine. So they sent me to a MRI facility. And at this point, the flashing in my eye has subsided, and I could drive. And so I'm like, I'm cool, whatever. My face is, I have put on enough makeup that you can really tell my face was drooping. So I
Wow.
was like, cool. As long as I look fine and I can see fine, I'm good. I had the MRI done, and for some reason, this was a very, very fast MRI. Like, I went back to the doctor that day to have the guy read the neurologist read it, and like that late that afternoon, and he looked at, he's like, Okay. So he looked at the paperwork and was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, Hillary Lofton? And I was like, yes. He's like, you have MS. I was like, just like that. And I
Wow.
was like, excuse me? Like,
Now, did you
what?
know what MS was? Did you, when he said
No,
that, did you know what that meant?
I
Because I
actually,
did not. I had no
I,
idea.
the only memory that I have of MS is when I was in elementary school and this child brought their mom in for show and tell. And I remember very vividly her saying that every day was different for her. Some days
Hmm.
she realized, some days she couldn't see, some days she couldn't hear, some days, I don't know if she couldn't hear, but some days she didn't walk. And I remember being so horrible, and I remember being horrified by that. I was so
Oh,
scared.
wow. Yeah.
That's all I knew about it.
So that took you kind of back to that memory.
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
only memory that I had of it. And so I was terrified when he told me that. I started bawling, crying. I remember calling my mom in Illinois because she was in Illinois. And so I called, I'm like, Mommy, I have this. And
Wow.
she's like, and bless mom's heart, she said, okay, baby, calm down. She heard me out, took a breath, and said, okay, this is what I want you to do. Think about this. You are not diagnosed with cancer. They didn't tell you about to die. You have a disease that is
Manageable or.
manageable. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
train of thought. And you can live with this. You can live with this. You're not gonna die. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I'll come out there tomorrow. I'll fly out there tomorrow. I'll fly up tonight. You'll be here tomorrow. We'll get a second opinion. All that. We'll take care of it. But you're gonna be fine. And
And so, Hillary, when was this? How long ago was this? When were you diagnosed?
that was 2007.
2007. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're
So
nearing almost 20 years with this.
almost.
So
Where's my?
how old were you at that time?
Well, girl, I gotta tell my age.
Mm-hmm.
I was um 21.
Because you just finished school, right? You were just starting a new job. So you were in early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I she really stabilized me at that point. Like she made me feel a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still walking through the halls of Atlanta, the hospital in Atlanta, and with this paperwork saying how to get blood tests. Because at that point, they want you to do lupus testing, screening.
Right. All the tests to rule
Yes.
everything out.
Yeah, and I got this packet of tests. I'm walking through the hall, like crying. I'm like, walking down the hallways like this. And I'm thinking to myself afterwards, like, they probably thought I had cancer or I just died with AIDS or whatever. They're like, because I'm walking like this, bawling through the hallways like that with some tests, with some papers. Got all my tests done. Nothing, just regular old MS. There was
Wow.
nothing else that I had. And, I mean, it was the most natural reaction that I had because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything other than what that woman said. So I thought my partying days were over. I thought my life was over.
Yeah.
I just thought that what my life going to be now?
Right. I think
That
that's the thing is the unknown of it all
yeah, and
is what makes it so much
yeah,
scarier.
yeah, and the cyclicality. Is that a word? Cyclicality?
Sickleness.
Yeah,
Sickleness. I know what you're thinking.
yeah. The fact that it is so fickle and goes up and down,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that is what's most frustrating. Because, like I said, at that point, I could see again, kind of. At that point, the flashiness had gone away, and I
Yeah.
could see again. So I'm thinking he's probably wrong. Because the first when they diagnose you, they don't really tell you it's concrete. It's like you gotta have another
It's
episode.
a, most likely it all points to MS or, but there's not this, like you said, there's no test for MS, right?
Right.
So you rule out everything else. And so it's like, okay, this is in line with you having it, which for me, that added to my denial of just being like, well, maybe I don't have MS. I mean, like are you sure I have MS? That because I feel
Mhm.
better today, or
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
it.
like I'm fine. So it's a hard. So anytime someone says that they like tested positive for MS, I'm like, that's not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thing. It's not true.
What I did was I was very much party girl, like I said. So well, no, this was back in the day. And what they had to do was give me a
Yeah,
series
I can't wait to
of,
hear that. What were the medication options
well, what they
15
did
years
was
ago?
they gave me a series of, um, they gave me Medrol. I think they could still do that.
Yeah, they did. That
But
was
I remember
my.
getting
I was
that.
on Sajamedrol for about 3 days when I first got
Yeah,
diagnosed. Mhm.
yeah, and they gave me this IV in my hand and to administer the Medrol. And the at home nurse came to my house to do it. Because I didn't see him at the hospital because I got things to do. Got parties to go to, like, no. So I was like, home health nurse come, pole comes, all that. So um I actually had them give me a netting over my hands so I could still go out. And so I had this old school 80s funky looking black net over my hand
I
to hide.
can't.
Yes, girl. I was serious about partying. And I was like, yes. So I had this netting over my hand, and I was, going to bars and clubs and still, doing what I gotta do.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so serious about partying. Like, I was so
Well, I
serious.
think there's a bit of, again, that denial and wanting to go
Yeah,
back to
definitely,
the
definitely.
normalcy of
Yeah,
life. And so you're almost pushing yourself and
more.
forcing yourself to do the normal thing.
Exactly.
So I get that. I get it.
Exactly. I pushed myself harder than I ever had. I just stayed out till the school buses came to pick the kids up, all that. And went to work still, like a normal person, and was like, had this little blip. They think it's MS, but they're wrong because I claimed it. It's not MS. I'm still a
Right.
party girl. They're dumb. This is Atlanta. They don't run it anyway. This is back when Atlanta really wasn't popping or whatever. It was still kind of like the country, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So they don't run it anyway. I'm go to Chicago, get my second opinion. They told me it was wrong. It was nothing. So,
So
I
when was the let's hop to when you realized like, okay, I actually have to deal with this and face this. What
yeah,
was that?
that was a year later. I was
Okay.
still I was still in Atlanta. I had gone to Puerto Rico for our last family, well, our last family vacation, but it was our last big family vacation. Because had graduated college. Heather and Haley were still in high school. They were going out, and Daddy had just retired. So we were going to celebrate his retirement, and it was our last big family thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I gone out to Mexico. I mean Puerto Rico, and I was trying to. I gone swimming with Heather, and I was trying to climb these rocks. I don't know if it was a hill or was it a rock, something like the pool, the sea. I don't know where it was, like a sea or something. I don't know what it was, but it was some
Okay.
rock. And I'm a very good swimmer. I've been swimming my whole life. So Heather's thinking I can just swim like normal. And I'm trying to climb up the rocks, and I couldn't quite get myself. I couldn't climb. I felt so weird. I'm like, what's going on? I think this is weird. Try harder. So I kept trying to climb, and I kept falling back, and I couldn't get up to where Heather had gotten up to. So then I finally had scraped my knee enough to just be like, I'm gonna go in the water. So I slid down a little bit, and I just was like, walked over, and then I fell in the water. And Heather is looking at me like, because I couldn't, no, I fell in the water, but I couldn't really get myself back up. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get my arms to swim back up. And it was the scariest thing in my life. It was like feeling like, I know I swim, why am I drowning? What's
Right.
going on? And I couldn't get all my legs and my feet to push me up. And I was like, I had the look on my face like, oh my God. And Heather's thinking I'm playing. So she's like,
Wow.
"No, you're crazy." I'm like, "No, I think I'm drowning." She's like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "No, I think I'm drowning for real." And she's like, "Girl, please." And I'm like, "No, I think I'm drowning." And I think somebody came and swam over and helped me. And I think that's how I got up. And she jumped in the water, was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think I'm just, having a off day, I guess." Because I didn't know what really happened to me. I didn't know what was going on. Because I hadn't been drinking. I was with my family, having fun, family time. So I was like, something has to be wrong. And I actually forgotten about the whole MS thing because I was like, that's nothing. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I had just,
Completely dissociated. Yeah.
yeah, I was like,
Hmm.
what is going on? What's wrong? And so my family and I, we're all back at the resort, and we had a family dinner. And my family's very, very, they talk. We all have our own business, but we still all talk. And we have family like not the Cosby, yeah, the Cosby Show, like the family. We have to sit around the table and have dinner together and talk. So I was talking to them at our dinner, and I was like, I told them what happened, told everybody what happened, and Heather knew, but Heather didn't say anything because she was like, I don't want to, I don't want to be the one to break the news. So she didn't say anything, and so I told everybody what had happened, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe all my drinking caught up to me. I didn't know what it was. And my dad, ever the, governor, whatever. He's not a governor, but he's like, could this have something to do with your MS scare? And I was like, I don't have that. What are you talking about? And he was like, perhaps you should go back home and have a second opinion. And so I was like, well, I mean, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can't do all those things. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do things. So he's like, I have a friend who is the top chief neurologist at Northwestern.
Okay.
So make some calls. You go there. We touch down. We get back to Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going back to Atlanta. He's like, no, 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 sweetie. You're going to Chicago. And I'm like, so I went back to Chicago. And the next day, my dad took me out to Northwestern. I he they received my MRI, and
Okay.
so they looked at it, and then my dad told them what I told him about my story about what happened after I be trying to get back up and all that stuff. I
Hmm.
couldn't figure it out, and so the guy was like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Okay, so what do you think it is, doc?" And he's like, "This is congruent. This is very much MS," and I was like, no, you understand, like, no, this is not, you don't understand, like, no, I am that girl. Have things to do. I'm gonna take over the world. You don't understand. I have things to do. No, it's not my story. So he's like, well, it is manageable and you can live a very full life with it. You just have to modify it. And
Okay.
I'm like, modify? No, you don't understand. Like, not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so he was like, what I really want you to do is get on these drugs. And at that point, I had never been in a hospital. Like, never.
Hmm.
I
Being
never.
sick or yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had mono when I was younger, but that's a
Well, the
long time.
way that it escalates itself is so traumatic in of itself. You go from being healthy, for lack of a better word, to all of these drugs, all of this medication,
Yeah.
and you that's the beginning of that loss of control, right?
Yeah. And
And
that
so
was,
what was the first drug you went on? What was your first DMT?
I don't know, but it did not work. I had to give myself a shot every single
Oh, wow.
in my thigh. And I'm scared of needles. I love tattoos, but I'm scared of needles. Don't ask me how it works, but it does. So I was scared to death. Like every once a week, I had to give myself a shot in my thigh. And it made me feel very tired. So I did it at night and I went to sleep. Like I do things like that when something hurts. I just deal with it and change what I do. Like give Jimmy stuff at night. Like I don't wonder why or wonder what's going on, fix what's causing it to hurt. I'm just like, what I gotta do? Okay, I'm gonna make it, fix it. So I went on that drug. I forget what it's called.
I think the one that was shots, was it Copaxone? Is that a shot one?
No, it wasn't that. I know that.
No. Because they used to say it was ABC. Was that like back in the day? Those were, one
No.
started with an A, one started with a B, and one started with the C. Those were like the only three options, I think, which was
Okay.
probably before you.
Avanax?
Girl, I don't know.
I don't know either.
How long? So how long were you on that for?
About a year
Okay.
until I had one of the worst. Well, not one of the worst. I had another flare up, and my flare ups are bad because like this one happened when I was driving because it's when I moved back to Chicago.
Okay.
So working at a radio station in Chicago, and I I think it was called Avanax. I work in a radio station in Chicago, and I like driving into work. My vision went out while I was on the road.
Oh my
My
God.
vision in my left eye went out. That was the scariest shit I ever read of my life. I was like, what's going on? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know what was happening. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not gonna happen. So I called off that day. I went back home and I'm like, mom, something's wrong, And she's like, well, it's probably the MS. And I remember crying so hard, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what did I do? Like, no one in my family has this. Does anyone in
Yep.
my family?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. And I'm like, this is not right. This can't be. This is not my story. I didn't write this. It's not happening like this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I shed a lot of tears. Got back to normal. Called my doctor, who at that point was not the best. He just was not. He was very skilled at what he did, but I need somebody to hold my hand. I need somebody to
Yeah.
comfort me. And he was just like, it is a mess. You take this, and this.
Yeah. Just very like to the point.
Yeah. And
The
I'm like, no.
bedside manner is not what you need. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm crying to him, like, I don't know what to do. Like, my life is over. I don't know what to do. So I stayed at the hospital that time, and he gave me a drip of steroids again. He said steroids would make the lesion shrink. So they did, obviously, and I could see again, and I was cool. So I got back to it. Basically, I just got back to life. Once that 5 days was over.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
5 days was over, I got back to work, got back to my life. Because
That's
I
what's
was in
crazy is that we have these insane situations happen and then we go back to life. It's like, and we just pick up where we left off.
yeah,
And I think that there's a piece there that we're not, that's its own set of, I think, trauma and
yeah,
that we just kind of put on this shelf because we're
yeah,
mothers, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're spouses, and
yeah,
life keeps going. People aren't, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry you went through that, but like, I still need whatever
yeah,
it is that I needed from you, like maybe is a day enough? Like if I give you a day, Is that
Yeah,
enough? But it's like, it's not. Like, I'm not okay. And I actually don't want to continue at all.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
you
And
know,
I
here
think,
we are, like, still, still going.
yeah, the thing for me was that I was in such denial. Like at that point, still in denial. Like I
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
didn't think. I was really thinking that modern medicine was just on crap, and they know what they were talking about, and I still don't have this. So I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
fly girl. I don't have this crap. This disease happening, but I don't know what it is. So, um, I forgot to tell you, I had chosen to not to really take my medicine seriously. I was still giving myself a shot in the knee in the leg, but
Mhm.
I wasn't taking it seriously. I'm like,
Yeah, you weren't resting more, you weren't
yeah,
changing other habits, you weren't.
right.
Yeah,
I was just taking it like it's something I got to do,
right.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because they're wrong. So, what's important is that at this point, I finally spoke to my parents, and I was like, I don't like this doctor. I don't like him at all because he's horrible, and he doesn't really make me feel good. So, what should I do? Now, my godfather at this point, well, my
Mm-hmm.
godfather was Dr. Robert Jordan. Bless his heart, he was one of the best. He
Okay.
said, I'm still on. He was on staff at Rush.
Okay.
He said, I have a friend who is the chief of neurology at Rush. You should go there. And so I went there and met my savior. His name was Dusan Stefosky. He was the
Wow. Wow. That's how I feel about Dr. Zawarski in Boston. You know, when you find the doctor that gets you and sees you and cares about you, I mean, it brings me to tears.
yes, it really does
Yeah.
because I remember when I first met him, he looks like a not shrunken, but smaller, skinnier version of Daddy Warbucks. Bald, funny, but very serious.
I love
Like,
it. I love it.
Hillary, okay, how are you feeling? How are you, how is this? What is this? You see, move your eyes, touch my nose, my fingers, all that stuff. So, like, he made me do all the tests and all the things, but I really had to talk to him and tell him how I was feeling. He was like, I understand. Maybe you should see, at Rush, when you're seeing people, when you see a doctor, they make you see a psychologist, a nutritionist, a physical therapist. You see the whole spectrum of people, so they take care of everything. And I felt at that point seen. I felt like somebody heard me. I felt like they really taken care of me and knew what to do. Not to say no question didn't
Yeah.
know. I feel like at Rush, they knew and they were taking care of the whole me. Like I felt,
Like you said, you felt seen.
yeah, I felt
Finally, right? Mm-hmm.
understood. Yeah, somebody's hearing me. If I heard, like your guys listening, you're understanding. Okay, you know what to do. This is great. So at that point, that was when I lost a lot of weight because I went there for after I had the I had another one at that point. I
So we're a
had,
little further down.
yeah, I'm sorry. The, when it has the dates kind of
Mm-hmm. It's
together,
all
I'm
a blur.
like, what day was that? It was a Friday, Wednesday. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So at that point, when I got to Rush, I had another flare up.
Okay.
So I stayed at Rush. They had this wonderful rehab center, the Johnson and Bowman Center. Wonderful. They got me up every day. They worked me out. They had work my muscles out, all that stuff, and got me back to walking, got me back to seeing, got me back to moving, grooving. So I spoke with a speech therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and I spoke with a real therapist. At this point, I had never had therapy or anything like that. That's
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
real therapist at that point, and this woman really got me to see that I was running from myself at that point. I was running from myself. I was running from this monster that was on my back. Like kind of like I say, the monkey on your back. This was a monster on my back. And he was, just taking control and like I'm not gonna be down whenever he wanted to. And I just was just modifying my life and kept on going. He was on my back. And she's like, you gotta get him off. And then she get
Yeah.
him off, then you can really have your life back. You think you're just, going back
Yeah,
to your
well,
day.
you're just kind of going along and you're not actively participating. You're not,
Right.
you know, you're not present, right? And so, I mean, well, so
Right.
that kind of brings me to, which is, I think it's amazing that you were available to talk this week because it's baby Harlow's birthday this week.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a great way to kind of transition into you taking some control and participating in your life. And, as you know, I've been on a fertility journey that hasn't been successful yet. And when I saw that you were pregnant, I just get so excited when I see someone else with MS that is pregnant. But I'm also worried, at the same time, because I'm so concerned for us and for you and your health. And so it's just like this mixed bag of like feelings. So let's talk about it. Were you trying to get pregnant? Was this a surprise? How did this kind of come to be?
I wasn't trying, but I wasn't actively not trying, if that makes sense. But
Totally. Mm-hmm.
me and my partner have been together for a long time, about 4 years at that point. 3 years, 3 years at that point. And I just wasn't trying. I wasn't actively trying not to get pregnant, but I just ended up pregnant. So I guess you call it a surprise. But I was terrified when it happened. I was terrified because coincidentally, like a month or two before, I had gone to see my regular doctor and my lady doctor, and she did some tests on me and told me that it was probably true. I might not have kids. I might be able to have kids. So because at your age, your cells, all that stuff, you probably can't have kids. That's why that hasn't happened yet. And I'm like,
Because
well,
how old were you when you got pregnant with Harlow?
I was 36.
I was thinking you were probably 35, 36.
36.
Okay.
Yeah. So she had told me that because I was that age, I probably couldn't have kids. And so, because I really didn't want kids, I kind of was just like, oh well. So I didn't really mourn it. I just kind of was like, whatever. I mean, I don't want kids anyway. So I didn't really take an active participation in not having kids because I figured that I can have them because I hadn't had any slip ups and like that. So I got very lax on doing the things you're supposed to do because I've been with my partner for some years at that point. And so when I started feeling odd, like something's not right, I think, you know, it was the weirdest. Like I felt so weird. Like in my body, I'm very, very well aware of my body. I could feel like something's different
Hmm.
before the test.
Okay.
And my
Well, we're
husband,
more, I think, in tune with our body
yeah,
living with MS because we're doing that body check every month.
yeah,
We know when something's off. So that
yeah.
actually makes a lot of sense that you would kind of know something was off.
Yeah, and so I told him, like, babe, I think I'm with child. He's like, you crazy? No, you're not. And I'm like, no, I think something's wrong because I just feel really weird. And he's like, no, you take a test, and I'm like, no, I'm scared too, because I want to have another finality in my life. I don't want to take a test and find out you're pregnant. The last test I had was you have a mess. So it's like I don't want to have another you're positive. So I didn't want to take a test. So I went out to Vegas and had the most awkward bachelorette party I've ever been to in my life because I was so
Right.
it was very weird, but did that. Um I came back and I took a test and it said I was pregnant. Now, I cried again so hard. And I had to go get my test Aubrey like the next day. So I figured they would give me another test too, because they tested me every time I had the test Aubrey. Because Stefanski said if you're on test Aubrey, you can't get pregnant. So I took tests every time I took it. I figured they'd give me another test anyway, so I could just tell me finally if I really am or not. I took the test there, and they're like, Hillary, you're pregnant. Why'd you come if you were pregnant? And I'm like, I really am? And they're like, you know? And I'm like, no. So they were the ones to give me the actual final yes, you're pregnant. And I
Okay.
cried
Okay.
there. Again, I cried and cried and cried. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening in my life. I don't know what's going to happen. I
Again, it's
called.
just that uncertainty, you
Yeah.
know. Hmm.
Yeah. I felt very not in control of my life. I felt like, these things are just happening. And I mean, obviously, I did it to myself, got pregnant, but I attributed it all to back finding out I had MS. Because,
Yeah.
like, again, something I hadn't planned for. Like,
Hmm.
I thought
Hmm.
that I was planning for my life, and how things were happening. So it was during that time that I really, really sat with myself. And it was actually around COVID.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
true.
not
Yeah,
sure.
she's turning 4. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure what COVID did to a lot of people, but to me, it got me so much closer to God. So much closer.
Mm. Hmm.
Because I remember sitting there thinking to myself, why this right now? Why is it happening right now? Like the world is ending. They're saying it's
Right.
going
Hmm.
to go. And
Because what else was happening to your body during that time? Like, were your MS symptoms also flaring while you were dealing with pregnancy symptoms, or is it what we've heard that you didn't really have MS? Would they say it's kind of like a cocoon that happens? And
that's what happened.
okay,
Because Stefanski told me that he said, I'll schedule an appointment when you're 6 months pregnant and to see you then, and then to schedule another appointment when you have the kid. But other than that, I'm not going to see you anymore
right,
until you're done. And that frightened me, but I felt better knowing that I'd see him at that 6 month mark. But he's like, enjoy not having for a little while.
wow, yeah.
And so it was a vacation.
I love it. I love that our bodies know what to do. Do you know to protect you and your baby during
Yeah,
that time, and to not have any MS flares, and to just have I just think that it's just shows just the miracle and just how amazing God is that
yes, that
you
part.
could have that time to just be at peace
Definitely.
while you're creating life, and that is the focus, is creating this new person. So
It,
I think that's beautiful. I'm really glad to hear that that was the case.
it was. I mean, and I do suffer from anxiety. So I was extremely anxious, but I was still at peace. I don't know if that can even happen, but I
Yeah,
was,
there's space for
yeah,
both. Hmm.
I was, because I was at peace because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't not in any. I just,
Well, and then it was COVID, so you really were just
yeah, yeah. I
at
was like
home.
who was actually happy with that thing. Cause I'm like, it's cool. I don't do it anyway. Cause
Right, right.
I changed my life completely. No longer party girl. I was
Hmm.
at home girl.
Yeah,
Stay at home girlfriend at that point. And I'm just like, no, cool.
yeah.
Make my friends, all that stuff in the house. Get
So you
fat.
were able to just kind of
Yeah.
reconnect with God, strengthen your walk. And so once you had Harlow, how was that? Now that I've heard mixed things with that, I've heard that some folks had bad flare ups, postpartum. Others still nothing. How was it for you once you had her? How was labor?
Um, that's the best labor in the world. Actually,
Okay,
I had a 5 minute labor,
5
and
minutes. I can't. Okay, that goes down in the books.
yeah, it does. That's why I'm having another.
Wow.
I'm not having another one because
Yeah, like it
God,
worked. Listen, don't try that if you like.
yeah,
Take your wins.
I am. But you know, it was. I had her. She came out, and I felt fine. I was scared. as ever that something's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there, and he was just like, "Okay, good that you got baby. Now, are you gonna breastfeed?" I planned to breastfeed. I couldn't though. I tried for a couple days, actually, or weeks. Actually, I couldn't produce milk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, um, she ended up going on formula, which was the best thing for her. But I then went back on that Opry, and that's when he was just like, "Okay, you're good, everything's good, you're cool." And then no, I take it back. He called in a specialist to give me some kind of, I don't know what it was that I took. I don't know if it was a steroid or something for like a couple days before I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
And then I did test Opry. But other than that, it was nothing. It was fine. It was cool. Like, I mean, having her was the blessing that should have been, and it was just a wonderful time in my life. And I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give anything up because, and I thank God so much for that, because it's like, here's the bone you've been asking to get. I threw it at you
Yeah. There you
because
go.
that was the best time of my life. I had this little girl, and
She's
she
so
came.
cute too. I can't wait for I'm gonna get some pictures so that we can add them so you guys can see how cute she is that are watching this. Talk
Yes.
to me about what your support system looks like, you know, having a small child, having a baby, being a partner. There's a lot on your, you know, on your plate, and then you have your just the daily symptoms of MS. What does your support system look like in terms of managing all of this?
Well, that has a, when I let my support system be my support
Ah,
system,
that's a good one when you let them.
yeah, they are there. My mom is very much always there. Mother-in-law is there when I need her. It's just when I let them, because I'm not one to ask for help. I never have been, and that's really bad. I'm aware of that. I'm working on it. But yeah, I don't really ask for much help. I just grit and bear it myself. I know that's wrong. I
Yeah,
know it hurts me in the end,
it
but
does. We've got to, I mean, but there's a vulnerability to it. I talk a lot about
yeah, I know.
allowing your family to show
Yeah,
up for you and to help you. And it's hard, it's layered. I get it. I definitely
yeah.
get it.
Even with my husband, because like sometimes one of my flare ups altered my hand, like my hand, the way I hold a pen. Like I can't really hold a pen very well, so I can't
Okay.
write.
Okay.
Now, when I have to write things out, I either type them or ask him to write them, because I don't have my signature anymore. I look like it was crazy. So when Harlow has something that has to be written, I'm like, babe, I'll dictate to you. Can you write it? He's like, why can't you do it? What's wrong? I'm like, why can't you do it? And I'm like, you know why I can't. He's like, just try. He's very much a try
Oh my
thing.
gosh, when someone tells us to just try, like it's something that we're not
Yes.
that we're in control of in some way, or when they get frustrated, when it's like it takes so much for us to ask for help, and so then when we ask for help, to then be frustrated with us or to tell us that we're not doing our part, it
Yes.
just feels like you've been stabbed in
Yes.
the back. I feel so betrayed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I remember I was talking to my dad. He, you know, like a lot of parents, they don't have all the apps. He wants me and my sister to order him meals sometimes, right? And my brain fog cognitively on worser days, I can't really process what you're saying to me. And I'm like, you know, I can you just text that to me so that I can like see it, because you telling me I'll repeat it, and then I lost it before I could order. And when it's like, well, why do you need that? And it's like I've told you why. This is a problem for me. And so now I feel even worse. I feel even sillier because now I have to repeat it or say it again. So now I feel even more depressed because
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember that you just wanted one burger and one fry and a shake. Something super simple that I can't actually keep having to repeat, that I can't understand that, I feel even worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Definitely.
So here we are.
But my husband is a little different. He comes from a sports family. They're all in sports, and they're all, give it your all, try harder, do this, you'll win. And I'm just like, I can't do that. It's not gonna work for me. Like, I can't. It's not gonna work even if I try hard. It's just not gonna work. And I'm like, I've done enough work on myself to be able to tell you that I've done the work and tried. I've done the legwork. I know it don't work. So can you just help me do that? Because here we are.
Right. Can you just help me do that? But I mean, I think what you just said, how you've explained it, I know how much our family wants to help us, wants to be there for us. And so again, it's similar to what the title of this pod is, showing grace to the people that love us and to, ourselves. So I think that's just a reminder of that. And I always want, as we kind of get to wrapping up, I always want to ask folks, because we have so many people that listen to this that are newly diagnosed, are just finding out that they are pregnant, or maybe they're due, and it's just like, what's going to happen, after this kind of comes out. So I'd love to know, what if you could have talked to yourself back then, whether first diagnosed or when you found out that you were pregnant, what is something that you wish someone would have said to you, that you'd want to leave them with?
It is my
Take your
wish
time.
that everybody who gets diagnosed can find them a Felicia Lofton. Felicia Lofton's my mom. When she told me that you didn't get diagnosed with cancer, you didn't get diagnosed with AIDS, you're gonna live through this. You're gonna be fine. Life's gonna be different. You're gonna be fine. I didn't take that. I didn't appreciate it then, but I appreciate it now every single day. I see it more because she was so right. And I want to offer that to anybody who can hear my voice. You're not dying. It's gonna be okay. It's just gonna be different, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna suck some days. It's going to downright suck. Like, I don't even know if I can curse on here, but it's going to suck.
You definitely can.
No,
It's wow. I love that you had that you didn't have to look for it, that your mom
yeah,
could be that.
yeah. And also, really take care of your body, because
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot that I was my my faux party girl ways, my thinking I was doing X, Y, and Z. I was that girl. But I was harming myself. I was drinking way too much, partying way too long. Like, I should have left the party a long time ago, but I didn't. So I was tearing my body down. And I think MS was really that kick in the pants. Like, I'm force you to sit down. Force you
Yeah.
to
Listen, if you don't
things.
listen to your body, it will tell you, and it's a different. And listen, you didn't leave the party. It's just a different party. It's a different kind of
Yeah,
party now.
I like that. Like that.
you know,
But definitely.
because you're still so full of life. We are, and I think that's what I want people to know when they see someone with MS, or if they're hearing that they're just getting diagnosed with MS, that it's not the end of life. It is, there's still so much more. It's just different. It's just
Mm-hmm.
different. And it's okay to be angry. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be pissed about the different. I'm still grieving the different. I don't know that it's ever going to go away. Do you feel like you still grieve, or do you feel like you've moved on? I don't know that that's something that's ever going to happen in terms of living with MS. Do you grieve your former self, or?
I do, but sometimes I catch myself, because then I think to myself, had I never had MS,
Mm-hmm.
I would have never moved home. I would have never met Gerald, and I would have had Harlow. So that's how I think about it now. I'm like, I don't really grieve it, because it is a story of my life that it brought me to here,
I love
and I would
that.
take I wouldn't I wouldn't do that for anything. So
I love that. I think that's a perfect place for us to end that.
yeah.
To especially hearing from you who's lived with it for so long, you've given me a lot of hope in this conversation that I hope to get there as well.
Oh, you
I really
will.
do.
You really will. Like, your new normal is going to be so much better than your old normal. The days they have ahead of you are going to be so beautiful and so much.
Amen. Amen. Ah,
Yeah.
thank you, sister.
Yeah, thank
All right, you
you.
guys, make sure to show yourself some grace this week. And I will include all of Hillary's handles on there so that you can follow her on social media and find her. We'll have some pictures of Harlow. And we'll talk to you guys soon.